puzzle besties, welcome back to my channel, Javi's Puzzle Odyssey. I'm Javi, and today we are going to be reviewing the Maleficent puzzle. And this is the Maleficent puzzle from Ravensburger. And I am so excited to be sharing with you guys my experience with this puzzle. And as you can see, it looks difficult. And we all know the villainess puzzles are known to be dark and shadowy because they're based around the villains, right? And it's supposed to be dark and mysterious and all that. So they don't scare me. I know they're going to be challenging, and I know I'm going to be having to do a lot of puzzle techniques to get through this puzzle. So I'm here today to review what techniques I use to get through this puzzle and my experience with it. And we will do an unboxing, and I will show you guys the little collectible that it comes with. Sorry for the glare. But also I wanted to mention we are almost at 300 subscribers, so thank you. And to everyone who's new here, thank you for subscribing, thank you for liking, thank you for commenting. It goes a long way for the channel and the growth of the channel, so thank you. So please, if you're watching, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Drop a comment, let me know, have you guys did one of these villainess puzzles before, and which ones have you done? I'm collecting them. There's one out of place because I took this one out and the gap drove me crazy. But I've already worked on previously the Horn King, and I think this was my first one. And then we have Lady Tremaine, which I did before, Cruella, which I did in this channel. If you guys want to check it out, look at my puzzle review. I will today create a playlist that will have all the villains in there. I've done Pete's before, Thanos, and then I have a couple more to do. So if you guys are interested in me doing anyone like Queen of Hearts, Hades, Ursula, Jafar, I'm open to redoing any ones I've previously done. So if you guys check out my villainess puzzle collection, you guys can see all the villainess puzzles I own, and if there's one in there in particular you would like to see me do, please let me know in the comments. Alright guys, let's get into it and let's get to the unboxing. Alright guys, I have the puzzle here. I'm going to give you a quick little unboxing, close up on the packaging. You have Maleficent. This one does come with the collector's piece. You have the image here. You have the image here again on each side. Then in the back there's some information about the villainess collection and some of the other ones. I think I have all of these except these two. So they are on my list to get. But yeah, beautiful packaging. It is the smaller box, which I hate and love, but we'll open it up. Hate it because the image is all I have to go by, and then the box is pretty small, and then I just have this. But I love it because storage wise it's a little bit easier. Here's the collectible. We'll keep it out while I puzzle. It's so cute. I love it. And it's green. It's like this emerald green. Alright. Keep the box nearby for reference image. And I will cut this bad boy open. The pieces and zoom out a little bit so you guys can see. Give some light in here. Alright, typical Ravensburger quality. You have all these cute little green pieces, and what I'm gonna do is just sort out some sections, like the green toy, the blue magic ball thingy, the fire. I'm going to take out the frame pieces and then obviously the edges. So let's get into it. Alright guys, I sorted all the pieces. You got the edges here. We have some colorful things here, some faces, the green, which is probably going to be this right here. A lot of frames, which I'm not thrilled about, but I don't hate. Green, which I think is like mostly background green from this area. And then the dark pieces. And then this purple here, which I think is Maleficent's dress. I'm almost tempted to scan a picture of this and print it. I did that for another villainess puzzle, the Black Cauldron, I think that's what it's called. I printed the image to a size that I can like see, but well, I'll try and see if I can get through it with this. But I do think it's going to be a little bit challenging for sure. But the good thing is like the bright areas are like a decent section. So, and then we have these edge pieces that look all exactly the same. But I did pick out what's going to be the bottom here. And then if you look at the image, that'll be able to tell me what section's on the top and what section's on the bottom. There's also the Disney logo is on there, so that'll help me. So, and usually what I do for edges that all the same, I separate them by piece shape. So I'll line all these up like this. And then I'll do process of elimination. There is some things you can follow too, like this. The lining here is very, very light, very dim compared to these. So obviously you'll have to follow along. So the shadow here is where this is going to end up. So, you know, things to consider when you're trying to put this together. I'll do a little time lapse of me putting the edge together so you guys can see the process, and then maybe it can help one of you guys if you ever get a puzzle like this. And guys, I did print out an image. I tried to blow it up, but it didn't really come out too detailed, so I did end up using it throughout the puzzle and then also using the box, like depending on how detailed it was. Alright, and then here I had sorted all the edges out by shapes, like, you know, in rows, and kind of just test and go and see what fits where, because, you know, all the pieces look the same and none of them were really that much, you know, detailed. Like, you know, you had the one spot at the bottom that had a piece of the statue, but besides that, you kind of had to go based off of the shadows and, you know, look at the box artwork and see where it was darker, where some of the gold lines on the side were at, and if it was dark, you know, you were just lining up then. But honestly, it took me a total of 25 minutes to do these edges and about an hour to sort. Alright guys, the beginning of this puzzle was absolutely easy to put together. We start off with some of those bright, colorful hues, like the blue there. You have, you know, the fire, and we have some of the fairies to put together. You know, they were all the bright parts about this puzzle that were pretty much easy to put together. And, you know, that center green collector's piece statue of Maleficent in the middle was pretty easy to put together, and the best method for this puzzle was most definitely sorting, and I think it played a crucial part in the beginning and getting everything started. And that was going to be the most important part, because for a puzzle like this, you're going to have to put together all the details that you can visibly see, because what you can't tell, and I don't know if the footage is going to be able to capture this in some of the puzzle pieces, but there is a lot of detail on it, but so much of it is very dark, very, very dark. And even like with the background, there's like a slight texture in the background and a green hue, but it's so close to black or like dark green that you just kind of can't tell. So like even when I was sorting in the piles, I like had to use a flashlight at some point just to see what was actually what, like, and I think it helped. Sorting was definitely helpful. And having my big trays, those trays that you see on the table are part of that tabletop, and I like those trays because they're long. They're probably like, I'll say maybe like 18 inches wide, 18, 19 inches wide, which is helpful because you can kind of, you can sort on them, you can build on them, and then the best part about it is you can spread out your pieces and physically see what the pieces are, versus if you use like puzzle trays, the small ones, like the puzzle sorting trays, you stick a bunch in there and then you kind of just have to rummage through them to see where your pieces are, which is fine. But for me, for most of my puzzles, I like to have my pieces spread out, even if they're sorted, so that I can see them and, plug away. But yeah, this first segment of the puzzle was pretty easy and I can't complain at all. And yeah, as far as like for tips, definitely you want to sort for a puzzle like this. And even after you sort, you want to go back into your pieces and do another sort, because there is detailing in the background. It's just hard to see it. So if you're someone who has trouble with visuals, I would recommend making sure you wear your glasses for this puzzle if you can, because it's definitely going to help you when it comes to sorting and it being so dark. If you're someone who cannot stand dark images, I would not recommend doing a puzzle like this, because it will get frustrating and you will probably not enjoy your puzzling time, and puzzling time is precious. So take all that into consideration. Obviously seen Sleeping Beauty a long time ago, right? As a kid, I think we've all seen it. I mean, this movie is from the 1950s, and I believe it's one of the first Disney princess movies, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But Maleficent is known to be the mistress of evil, and some may say she's misunderstood. Some may say that she actually is not evil, but some people did her wrong and she came for her revenge. But in the let's actually look up. I'm just looking up real quick what year. Yeah, 1959. And I want to focus more on Maleficent role of it all versus Princess Aurora, because this is a Maleficent puzzle. Although I love Princess Aurora, I also love Maleficent. But Maleficent is known as the mistress of evil. Guys, Maleficent in the original movie, in her portrayal in the Sleeping Beauty movie in 1959, she was the embodiment of pure evil, a powerful fairy who curses Princess Aurora out of spite. In that first film, you see them having like a welcoming party for the baby, and she appears and she is just so angry, and she tells them like, you didn't invite me to the party, and you know, as for punishment, she's like, I'm going to curse your baby. And when she turned 16, she was going to put her finger on the spindle and die before her 16th birthday. And everyone was shook and scared. So that is our introduction into like the Disney films. But and then in 2014, I want to say, there was a live action where we actually get the backstory of Maleficent and you know why she was so spiteful and evil. And Maleficent wasn't always evil. In the film in 2014, if you didn't see it, I don't want to give you guys any spoilers, so I'll just talk about it a little bit in case you do want to watch it after watching this video. You know, we get her origin stories about, you know, her past events that led to her cursing Laura this time, you know, and we get to see her, like, her good side. She's not, you know, just evil for any reason. So, you know, in the film, you get the perspective of her as a child living in the moors where she, you know, is deeply in love with her forest and her creatures, and you know, she falls in love with another kid who then eventually moves on into like the human world, and he leaves her behind and he goes to work with the king. And the king basically tells him like, if you guys don't, you know, kill Maleficent, you know, they're gonna lose the throne and he's never gonna become king. Eventually he comes back to hang out with Maleficent, and where she's thinking he's just back to be with her, he ends up betraying her, drugging her, and clipping off her wings and bringing them to the king. And it was just horrible, right? And you know, her wings were so powerful and was like her one of her biggest like defense when she would battle with the humans on the other side of the moors. But eventually, you know, he ends up becoming king and having Princess Aurora, and that's how she gets her revenge. But what I like about the film is that it doesn't just show her cursing her and being evil. She actually starts to hang out with Princess Aurora. She starts to feel bad, and she does eventually try to reverse the curse, but her curse was so powerful she was unable to reverse it. But Maleficent is one of the most coolest villains, and I hope you guys, you know, if you didn't see it, watch it. You know, I would suggest watching both of them because there is another one that came out shortly after. I think it's 2019. Both were pretty good. Alright guys, I hope you enjoy the rest of the time lapse. Alright guys, we are here at the final stretch, and this was the most tedious part of the puzzle, and I hate sorting, but this was necessary because all of the pieces right now are either black and gold with very minute details. There's maybe like a small bit of color reference that I can use, so sorting at this point by shape is probably the best option. Alright guys, the puzzle's finally complete. It was a challenge. Like, no, seriously. It was a challenge. Especially at the end where I had to do shape sorting. And usually when we shape sort, or when I shape sort, I usually try to do it when it's a little bit of pieces left. But I had around 3 trays. Well, 2 trays and then pieces on the board that I had to shape sort. So, but honestly, it helped. And then also I was missing a piece, and I honestly think it was my fault. So when I did the unboxing and I empty out the bag, I threw the bag away. I usually save the bag, and I don't know what I was thinking. I think I threw the bag away and a piece might have been stuck in the bag. So nothing I can really do about it. I will say Ravensburger have a good customer support system where if you are missing a piece, they will ship you out another puzzle. And typically it's not the same puzzle because of the puzzle cut, and they can't really send you pieces for 1,000 piece. I think the higher piece count, they can send you pieces if it's missing. But I don't know. I honestly don't know if it was my fault or if it came that way. So I just don't feel like it's the right thing to do to contact them regarding the missing piece. However, I've had in the past where I know for sure it came with a missing piece because I made sure I looked at everything, checked the bag, checked everywhere. And I really don't lose pieces, so it's not a big deal. But let's rate the puzzle. I give the puzzle a 9 out of 10. And I give it a 9 out of 10 because the artwork was beautiful. You have this big frame of Maleficent with the raven or the crow. You have the fairies, the good fairies or whatever they call, you know, using their powers in the image. You have the little frames of each characters. There's a few pictures of Sleeping Beauty. You have her on the corner. You have her sleeping, which is what she's known to be doing. No, honestly, I love Sleeping Beauty. She's one of my favorite. And honestly, she's only sleeping for like the end of the movie. So clearly I watched the movies before doing this puzzle. And I also watched the Maleficent movie, which you did hear about in my voiceover. But for the missing piece, I'm going to show you real quick what I did to kind of cover it up for aesthetic reasons. Alright guys, so what I actually ended up doing was taking a blank piece of paper and dropping it right here, and taking a marker, which I have markers here, and just coloring Appa's hairs on there. Coloring in the piece, which made this. So, and usually if I'm going to make a piece up, I will do this process and take a cardboard, multiple cardboards, and I will glue this on top of like 3 cardboard boxes and cut it out as best as I can just to fill in the gap. And out of 10 for the artwork. It was beautiful. It was everything that I would want in a Maleficent image. I love it so much to the point where I think I'm actually going to glue this one up and keep it. I'm probably gonna have to eventually make that piece so that it doesn't look weird, but 9 out of 10. Love it. Love Maleficent. Love the image. It was great. Now, let's rate the difficulty. Difficulty, I'm going to say a 10 out of 10. Especially towards the end because all the pieces look the same. All the frames look the same. And definitely something that you're going to want to consider when getting a villainess puzzle at any time. Now, there are some villainess puzzles that are a little bit less challenging. This one is very dark. Very, very dark. There are some bright portions of the puzzle that actually takes up a decent amount of space, which makes it easy. But it's a challenge. A villainess puzzle is a challenge. So if you're thinking about getting one and you don't want to be frustrated and you don't like those kind of challenges, like dealing with dark pieces, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're someone who's into the villainess images and don't mind the darkness and shape sorting and using other puzzle techniques to puzzle, then I highly recommend getting the puzzle. Now obviously there's other brands like Seiko that make villainess puzzles. I've even seen some with Clementoni, I believe, and they're a little bit more brighter, on the brighter side. So that's definitely an option if you're interested in doing a villainess puzzle, but not something challenging. What I will say is that Ravensburger puzzle piece cut, it makes it easy for you with even those dark pieces. And now, what gets tricky sometimes is having to shape sort, but also still looking at the details on the pieces. You kind of get like a little crazy, like this doesn't go here, but it might go here. But some of the transition throughout the image makes it difficult to figure out where the pieces actually go. So definitely something you want to consider. So overall, I enjoyed the puzzle. I will do every villainous puzzle. I am not afraid to take on any villainess puzzle because I like villains. I like the villainess theme. So let me know in the comment, guys. if you've done any villainess puzzle and found them a little bit too hard or maybe given up at some point. This video was supposed to be out last week, but it was challenging and I wanted to enjoy it and I took my time doing it, so I didn't rush it. I want to say I probably spent over 8 hours doing this puzzle because each session that I filmed, every time lapse was about 1 to 2 hours each, and I had like 5 of them maybe. So I would say maybe like 8 to 10 hours total, which I'm not mad at. Like, you get your money's worth. Now, the missing piece, again, not Ravensburger fault, most likely my fault. I threw away the bag. I looked everywhere too, just in case. Like, I checked under the table, I checked at the couch, because at one point I was puzzling in my living room. I checked everywhere, so I'm not contacting Ravensburger for this missing piece because I really do feel like I lost it or might have threw it away. So if I do happen to find it, I'll let you guys know. But that is it for today, guys. Please let me know if you would like to see me do any of the other villainess. And please remember to share, like, and subscribe. Look at my little villain Maleficent pop figurine. Sorry, I guess I attract easy. I hope you all have a good day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.